Every thought you repeat is a tiny gravitational body. It spins in the invisible field around you, creating curvature, a pull, in the energetic fabric of your reality. That's not poetry. It's mechanics. Fear bends that field inward, collapsing your orbit. Desire, when clean and unconflicted, expands it. This is why people who live in chronic anxiety keep meeting the same situations in new disguises. Their internal gravity well is tuned to fear. They don't attract misfortune. They curve their environment to match their dominant signal. Energy has gravity because emotion is mass in motion. Every pulse of attention carries density, velocity, and spin. When you think about something with emotional charge, you increase its energetic mass, and the universe, like space-time itself, must bend around that mass. So if your attention orbits a worry, the field around you keeps folding toward that vector. We've been trained to believe manifestation is about positive thinking. It's not. It's about vector control, learning how to reverse the curvature of your energetic field so that what you love becomes the center of mass, not what you fear. This isn't abstract. Your nervous system is the command console of that gravity. Every time your body tenses, you densify the field. Every time you breathe into expansion, you reduce curvature. That's why calm people seem magnetic. Not because they're lucky, but because their field is stable enough for reality to orbit around them instead of collapsing inward. Your energy doesn't just move, it shapes the space around you. And right now, whether you realize it or not, your gravity is pulling. You can feel it the moment your internal gravity flips. It's that subtle tightening in your gut when you start imagining what could go wrong, as if your whole field caves inward by a few millimeters. That collapse is not metaphorical, it's measurable. Your biophotonic emission, the light your cells naturally release, drops in coherence when fear takes command. Your charge density decreases. The field becomes heavier, slower, and starts bending everything toward the lowest emotional frequency available. Every human field operates like a gravity map. At the center is your most charged emotion. Around it, layers of thoughts, memories, and micro-reactions orbit like debris around a planet. Most people live unaware of what their center of mass actually is. They believe it's their goals or intentions, but underneath their real center is the fear of losing control, being rejected, or not being enough. That's the vector that governs their pull. Here's the hidden mechanism. Your field obeys coherence, not words. It doesn't care about what you say you want. It responds to the vibration with the highest amplitude inside you. If the fear of failure carries more charge than the joy of creation, gravity bends toward failure. You will unconsciously select paths, people, and possibilities that confirm that curvature. Every thought is a vector, but only the ones with emotion behind them gain mass. So when you try to manifest while emotionally anchored in fear, you're actually increasing the mass of the very reality you want to avoid. You're not attracting problems, you're giving them gravitational authority. To invert the vector, you must do something radical. Stop trying to push energy outward. Start reversing the curvature inward, not collapsing, but recentering. When you stabilize your core frequency, your field reorganizes. What you want doesn't need to be chased, it's pulled in naturally, like a smaller orbit captured by a greater force. And here's the paradox most people never see. The stronger your fear, the stronger your potential gravity. Because fear and desire are the same field, split in direction. One collapses, the other radiates. The trick is not to eliminate fear, but to reverse its spin. The moment you realize that every emotion is simply energy with a vector, you stop fighting yourself and start steering your field like a planetary body. The next step is to expose exactly how that steering works and why most people unknowingly pilot their gravity in reverse. The biggest myth about attraction is that it's magnetic. It's not. It's gravitational. Magnets work through polarity. Opposites attract. But gravity doesn't care about opposites. It responds only to mass, to density of energy. The denser your emotional charge, the more curvature you create in your field. That's why repeating affirmations often fails. You can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times. But if the emotional mass of lack outweighs the charge behind those words, your field still bends toward scarcity. Gravity listens to weight, not volume. We've mistaken thinking for steering, but thoughts are only the sparks. It's emotion that gives them mass. Energy follows emotion because emotion is energy in motion, the kinetic factor that curves your personal space-time. Every suppressed emotion, every loop of fear, adds invisible weight to your orbit. Let's take a real scenario. You're preparing for an important conversation, maybe a job interview or a creative pitch. You've done everything right, yet inside, a quiet panic vibrates. What if they don't like it? What if I mess up? That inner spin creates gravitational turbulence. Your voice tightens, your timing distorts, your perception of others warps. You start reading rejection in neutral expressions, not because it's there, but because your field curvature bends the incoming signals to match the shape of your fear. Now imagine the opposite moment, when you're calm, centered, quietly certain. You're not trying to impress, you're radiating stability. The field around you clears. Others can feel it. Their nervous systems sync to your steadiness. You didn't convince them, you simply became the more massive presence in the room. Gravity always wins over friction. Here's the myth bust that changes everything. You don't manifest by adding energy, you manifest by redistributing mass. The emotion with the greatest charge defines your orbit. If you want to pull what you love, you must densify joy, confidence, curiosity. Let them gain gravitational authority over fear. The universe doesn't respond to your preferences. It responds to your mass distribution, your inner landscape of charged density. So the question isn't, how do I attract what I want? It's, which emotion inside me currently has the most mass? Because until you shift that center of gravity, your world will keep bending around the same invisible core. And when you finally see that, when you feel the weight of your own energy shaping reality, a deeper truth begins to surface, one that ties directly to your nervous system and why calm isn't weakness. It's command. Your nervous system is not just a biological network. It's your gravity stabilizer. Every electrical pulse that travels through your nerves is a micro command to the energetic field surrounding you. When those signals are chaotic, fast, shallow, reactive, your field vibrates like a planet in turbulence, distorting everything that tries to enter its orbit. Calm is not passivity. Calm is structural coherence. When your breathing slows, your electromagnetic rhythm synchronizes. The heart, brain, and gut enter resonance, and that resonance stabilizes your energetic curvature. You literally smooth the space around you. Science already hints at this. Your heart emits a measurable magnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body. But what most people miss is that coherence, not intensity, defines strength. A scattered signal cannot hold form. A coherent one becomes a gravitational center that reality organizes around. Think of your nervous system as the engine that maintains orbit. Fear accelerates it beyond capacity, and you lose signal fidelity. Too much noise. Suppression slows it below resonance. Too little current. The power lies in tuning, not in force. Here's a practice. 30 seconds to restabilize your gravitational field. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. On the inhale, imagine your spine lighting up like a vertical current. Steady, bright, hold for 2. Exhale through your mouth for 6, as if releasing static from your system. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the charge redistribute evenly through your whole body. Do this 3 times. What you just did wasn't relaxation, it was recalibration. You synchronized your internal oscillators, which resets the field curvature to neutrality. From that neutral state, intention gains precision. Every great athlete, speaker, or creator you've ever seen enter flow is doing this subconsciously. Their nervous systems reach coherence first, and gravity follows. The moment coherence locks, timing adjusts, perception sharpens, and events begin aligning as if space itself assists. That's not luck. That's stabilized gravity. You can't manipulate energy from chaos. You can only command it from coherence. And coherence is impossible if your nervous system is in survival mode. So when life hits, don't fight the chaos, regulate the orbit. Because your nervous system is the interface where biology meets gravity. And once you master that interface, emotion stops being the storm. It becomes propulsion. And that's where the transformation begins, when emotion stops draining your field and starts fueling your gravity. Emotion is the propulsion system of your gravity. It's the fire in the engine that determines how far and fast your field can pull. But here's what most people never realize. Emotion doesn't just move you, it moves reality around you. When you suppress emotion, that energy doesn't vanish. It compresses. It becomes denser, heavier, creating localized black holes in your field, regions where gravity turns inward, consuming signal instead of emitting it. That's why repressed anger makes people feel smaller, invisible, tired. They're carrying collapsed energy, folded in on itself. But when you process that same emotion consciously, when you let anger, grief, or fear move through your nervous system without identification, the energy flips vector. The same charge that once pulled you down now radiates outward as power. You didn't heal it, you inverted it. You turned implosion into propulsion. Let's break that down mechanically. Emotion equals charge in motion. The more intense it is, the greater the mass it carries. When you hold that mass in resistance, it drags your field inward. When you allow motion, through breath, sound, or presence, the charge disperses evenly, creating outward curvature. Suddenly, what once attracted chaos begins to organize clarity. The most powerful people aren't emotionless, they're emotionally fluent. They know how to harness charge without collapsing under it. They feel everything, but they direct what they feel. Imagine walking into a conflict. You feel anger rise, that surge of heat in the chest, that impulse to lash out. Most people release that energy destructively or bury it completely. Both responses waste mass. But if you breathe into it, steady your nervous system, and hold the sensation without reaction, you convert that compressed force into gravitational density. Now, when you speak, your words carry weight. The room adjusts to you. Emotion is either your weapon or your fuel, depending on how you spin it. Fear becomes intuition when stabilized. Grief becomes depth when integrated. Anger becomes clarity when grounded. That's the real alchemy. Not escaping emotion, but transmuting its vector. Because in that moment of inversion, when pain turns into power, something extraordinary happens. Your gravity expands. Your field stops absorbing life and begins commanding it. And once you feel that shift, that click where emotion becomes thrust, there's no going back. Something else starts to reveal itself. How that same gravity can be hijacked, bent, or stolen if you're not fully in command. Every field can be bent, including yours. The moment you lose coherence, external systems start writing into your gravity. Advertising, emotional contagion, social media. They all operate as gravitational interference, subtle mass injections into your signal. They can't create energy in you, but they can redirect your vector. That's how energetic hijack works. A system amplifies fear or desire until your field synchronizes to its frequency. Your emotional body becomes the engine pulling their narrative. They don't control you, they curve you. This is why certain environments drain you while others elevate you. Walk into a room full of tension, and your nervous system instantly contracts. The gravitational density of fear pulls your orbit downward. You start thinking smaller, speaking softer, doubting your intuition. Not because something bad is happening, but because your field has temporarily entered another field's gravity well. But you can reclaim command. The first step is awareness, noticing when your energy stops being self-generated and starts echoing something external. You'll feel it as a subtle desync, a mismatch between your inner rhythm and your behavior. That's the sign of a foreign vector. Here's a simple reality example. You open your phone in a good mood. 2 minutes later, you feel restless, inadequate, or angry, yet nothing happened to you. That's a hijack. You've been pulled into the gravity field of collective emotional mass. Every image, sound, and word online carries charge, and billions of those signals orbit one thing: fear. To break the pull, you don't resist, you recenter. Resistance feeds gravity. Presence neutralizes it. The moment you return awareness to your breath, body, and present sensory input, your field regains self-generated mass. You become the heaviest presence in your own orbit again. It's the same in relationships. When someone tries to guilt, shame, or manipulate you, they're not attacking. They're attempting to curve your gravity so your energy flows toward their emotional well. The antidote is neutrality, not coldness, but coherence. When you stop matching their spin, their pull dissolves. You reclaim command not by fighting hijacks, but by becoming too stable to bend. Your field becomes spherical again, radiating in all directions, unmoved by external turbulence. And the moment you master that, something even deeper unlocks. You realize you can program your gravity, not just defend it. Once you know your gravity can be hijacked, the next step is learning how to code it. Your field is programmable, not with language, but with rhythm, charge, and attention. Every state you enter sends new instructions into the curvature of your energy. The key is precision. There are 4 main tools for energetic reprogramming. Each one flips your field back into command mode. 1. Breath code sync. Breath is the keyboard of your nervous system. Each inhale gathers energy. Each exhale distributes it. When you synchronize breath with intention, you send coherent electrical signals through your neural network, rewriting your energetic curvature. Try this. Inhale while visualizing the exact emotion you want your field to amplify. Calm, clarity, power. Hold for 2 seconds to let your nervous system register the signal. Exhale as if expanding that state outward, like gravity rippling through space. Do this 5 cycles. You'll feel your charge density increase, your field thickening with coherence. 2. Charge reset. Throughout the day, micro-tensions accumulate, small distortions in your field. They're invisible, but they slow your gravitational spin. Reset by shaking your hands, rolling your shoulders, exhaling sharply through the mouth. Then bring awareness to your spine and imagine static discharging downward. It's not visualization, it's physics. Motion breaks static buildup, restoring flow. 3. Focus redirect. Your attention is the vector control. Where focus goes, gravity curves. When you notice fear or obsession anchoring your awareness, redirect not by suppressing it, but by adding countermass, curiosity. Ask, what would this look like if it worked out perfectly? That single question shifts your energetic weight from contraction to expansion. 4. Field seal. Before sleep or before entering charged environments, close your field deliberately. Breathe deeply, feel the boundary of your skin, and imagine a coherent pulse extending a few inches outward. Not a wall, but a membrane. Say internally, only signals aligned with coherence pass through. This command stabilizes your electromagnetic boundary. It's not superstition, it's signal filtration. These aren't rituals, they're mechanical adjustments. Each one increases gravitational precision. And when you practice them consistently, you'll notice something subtle yet unmistakable. Reality starts to reorganize faster. Conversations align, opportunities orbit closer, timing synchronizes. Because you're no longer broadcasting chaos, you're bending space intentionally. Have you ever felt your mood shift the entire atmosphere of a room, like everyone unconsciously tuned to your state? That's gravity in motion. Tell me the last time you felt that power in the comments. And yet, even with all these tools, one thing still stands between most people and mastery: the hidden traps that leak energy faster than they can build it. Even when you learn to command your field, there are traps, subtle distortions that drain your gravity from the inside. They don't come as dramatic collapses, but as small leaks that weaken the pull of your signal over time. The first and most common is overforce, trying too hard to manifest, to prove, to control outcomes. Overforce compresses the field. It turns expansion into pressure. You might feel temporarily powerful, but underneath the nervous system contracts. The curvature tightens inward. Your gravity stops pulling and starts imploding. That's why burnout always follows overexertion. The field collapses under self-imposed compression. The second is split signal. It happens when you hold contradictory charges at once, wanting freedom but fearing uncertainty, craving success but resenting exposure. The field can't stabilize around opposing masses, so it oscillates. You feel exhausted, indecisive, scattered. Nothing lands because reality doesn't know which orbit to follow. The fix isn't to choose one polarity, it's to integrate both. Admit the fear, but let desire remain the dominant mass. Coherence doesn't mean perfection, it means alignment of charge toward a single direction. Third, emotional leakage. This one hides inside empathy. You absorb other people's fields unconsciously, believing compassion means merging. But when your boundaries blur, you start carrying their curvature inside yours. That's why certain conversations leave you drained while others uplift you. You've literally let foreign mass orbit your system. To stop leaking, remember, presence doesn't require merging. You can witness someone's emotion without downloading their frequency. Keep awareness anchored in your own body, especially your feet and spine, and breathe from your center while listening. You'll stay connected, yet untangled. Fourth, self-narrative feedback loops. The stories you repeat about who you are become gravitational algorithms. I'm always unlucky. People don't understand me. Each phrase adds curvature to your energetic geometry. If you want to change your field, stop reinforcing the same orbital equations. Replace narrative with observation. Instead of "I'm stuck," say, "My gravity is reorganizing." Language shifts perception. Perception shifts signal. And the last trap is energetic over-identification. When you start seeing every mood as cosmic meaning, you lose grounding. Your gravity becomes too diffuse, untethered. Remember, you are not every current moving through you. You're the planet, not the weather. When you patch these leaks, your field condenses again. Dense, radiant, coherent. That's when movement becomes effortless. That's when gravity obeys you. And it's from that place of mastery that real embodiment begins, where coherence stops being a practice and becomes motion itself. Integration begins when gravity becomes movement, when your field doesn't just react to life, but conducts it. At this stage, you stop doing energy work and start being energetic coherence in motion. Every gesture, every pause, every silence carries signal. You walk into a space and it adjusts. Not because you force it, but because your gravitational field has achieved enough density to influence the environment without effort. That's integration. The world bends toward your rhythm because your rhythm no longer fluctuates with the world. Let's make it practical. Imagine a day full of interruptions, messages, demands, sudden changes. Normally, your nervous system would scatter. You'd feel pulled in 10 directions, but instead, you maintain your inner spin. You breathe once before answering. You sense the invisible field around your body, keeping it spherical. You respond, not react. Each time you do, you reinforce the gravitational center. You are teaching reality that your field doesn't bend under external weight. Integration is not detachment, it's precision. It means you can move through chaos without losing coherence. Like a planet gliding through cosmic debris, your gravity keeps its orbit, unshaken. You'll notice subtle effects. Coincidences increase. People mirror your tone unconsciously. Doors open with less resistance. You start sensing the feedback loop between your state and the collective field around you. This is not mystical. It's synchronization. Coherent energy naturally entrains incoherent energy until harmony is reached. But here's the deeper layer. Integration means you stop chasing high vibration and start mastering consistent vibration. Not ecstatic, steady. Not hyped, grounded. That stability makes you unpredictable in the best way, because chaos cannot destabilize what has its own gravity. You become a moving field of command. Your emotions still flow, but none of them hijack your orbit. You feel sadness, yet gravity stays centered. You feel joy, yet gravity doesn't scatter. Everything moves through. Nothing stays stuck. And this leads to the next threshold, where the same gravitational force that now governs your internal world starts shaping your outer domains: money, relationships, and purpose. Because once your internal gravity becomes constant, it begins to extend into every system connected to you. And those systems, without exception, must reorganize around your frequency. The question is, will you use that power to repeat old orbits, or to pull entirely new worlds into alignment? When your inner gravity stabilizes, it begins expanding through every domain of your external reality. Money, relationships, purpose, they're all orbiting systems. Each responds to the gravitational pull of your dominant emotional mass. Once you command your field, these domains stop behaving like mysteries and start operating like physics. Money first. We've been taught to chase it, but money isn't something you pursue. It's matter responding to coherence. Every transaction is an exchange of energy density, trust, confidence, momentum. When your field is fragmented, money mirrors that fragmentation. Unpredictable, inconsistent, unstable. But when your gravity is steady, your field becomes a safe orbit for abundance to settle into. Clients, ideas, and opportunities align because they can finally land in your system without turbulence. You don't chase, you anchor. Relationships obey the same law. People don't respond to your words, they respond to your field curvature. If your emotional gravity is built on fear of abandonment, every interaction subtly bends toward proof of rejection. But if your center is rooted in wholeness, you generate a pull that invites others to rise into coherence with you. You stop attracting rescuers or drainers because your gravity no longer feeds instability. Instead, you magnetize mirrors of your own steadiness, partners, allies, connections that orbit instead of collide. Purpose, too, is gravitational. It's not found by searching outward. It emerges when your energy field reaches a density high enough to pull alignment from the quantum field. Moments, ideas, and callings start landing because there's finally a stable orbit for them to exist in. You begin to sense a direct feedback. The more coherent your state, the more life organizes around meaning. Here's a tangible scenario. You wake up, ground your breath, and move through your day like a steady pulse. Instead of rushing, you listen to your internal spin. Suddenly, synchronicities appear. An unexpected call, an aligned opportunity, the right phrase in the right moment. That's not luck. That's your gravity pulling reality into symmetry. Each domain becomes a feedback system teaching you more about your energetic architecture. Money shows you stability. Relationships show you resonance. Purpose shows you alignment. When these begin to harmonize, your life stops feeling like motion through chaos. It feels like orbit. And once you taste that, once every aspect of life starts curving around a single coherent center, you begin to sense what true sovereignty feels like. Not isolation, but total energetic authorship. Energetic sovereignty means nothing can rewrite your gravity without your permission. It's not about control, it's about authorship. You stop being a node in the collective current and become a self-sustaining field, radiating from your own internal source. At this level, every interaction becomes transparent. You can feel when someone's words carry weight and when they're hollow. You can sense when a situation aligns with your field or when it tries to distort it. Sovereignty sharpens perception because coherence amplifies signal clarity. No interference, no static. Here's the truth most avoid. Sovereignty isn't isolation. It's connection without dependency. When your field is autonomous, you can love without losing energy, serve without depletion, and engage without absorption. You stop orbiting other people's gravity wells. You become your own planet, and from that stability, your influence expands naturally. But to hold sovereignty, you must remain disciplined. The moment you let external validation become your fuel, you surrender authorship. Validation is borrowed mass, temporary weight that collapses when the source disappears. Sovereignty means feeding your field from within. Breath, focus, and self-trust as your constant generators. Here's a test of it in motion. Someone criticizes you publicly. The collective energy surges toward conflict, tension, judgment, projection. If your center wavers, their gravity pulls you in. But if you stay grounded in your internal rhythm, breathing into the chest, spine aligned, presence unbroken, you'll feel something wild. Their field loses pull. Your gravity stays intact, and in that moment, every external vector recalibrates to your stability. That's command without confrontation. That's power without resistance. True sovereignty also means responsibility, because once your gravity gains mass, you influence the space around you whether you intend to or not. Every thought, every tone, every decision radiates, so your coherence becomes not just personal mastery, but an ethical force. The unhackable self is not armored, it's transparent. Nothing to defend because nothing can infiltrate coherence. When fear approaches, it dissolves in your field. When chaos enters, it organizes. You don't fight distortion, you outmass it. This is the culmination of energy discipline. When your inner gravity becomes so dense with clarity, compassion, and focus that distortion cannot survive in your orbit. And from that state, something extraordinary occurs. Your gravity begins shaping timelines, not in fantasy, in mechanics. You become the point around which potential condenses into form. Picture your energy field now as a living planet suspended in space, luminous, steady, breathing. Every thought, emotion, and intention orbiting it like moons. Some still chaotic, some perfectly synchronized, but all of them bound by one truth. The gravity comes from you. When you reverse the vector, when fear stops being your center of mass and love takes its place, everything rearranges. Conversations shift. Time feels slower. You start noticing that the right people, ideas, and paths seem to find you, but they were always there. They just couldn't enter your orbit until your field stabilized enough to hold them. Energy doesn't chase. It bends reality into alignment. And the moment you understand that, you stop trying to control outcomes and start curving space with presence. Your nervous system is the axis. Your breath is the command line. Your emotion is the fuel. And your awareness, that quiet observer behind it all, is the architect shaping gravity itself. You were never meant to fight reality. You were meant to sculpt it, with coherence, with clarity, with command. Because every second you exist, your field is pulling something closer. The only question left is, what frequency are you giving mass to? If you tune it deliberately, if you let your calm, your purpose, your joy become the densest energy in your orbit, life will obey the curvature of that signal, and you'll feel the truth that was always hiding in plain sight. You don't attract what you want or what you fear. You pull what you are. Have you ever felt a moment where your energy alone shifted everything around you? A conversation, a decision, an entire day? Describe that moment below. I want to see how your gravity moves.